الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على الأتمان الأكملان على خير خلق الله أجمعين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
So we spoke briefly last week about the individual that sees the moon, who does, the sighting of the moon. And we said that this can't just be any individual. There are certain criteria that this individual needs to meet in order for us to accept that that his sighting of the moon was correct. And one of those criteria, if you recall, was al-adala. We spoke about al-adala. Who recalls what the al-adala means? Means he's what? A trustworthy individual. And we spoke about this at length, about the shurut and the conditions of the person that does the moon sighting. And we also briefly mentioned, a few common issues that have to do with ru'yat al-hilal, that have to do with the sighting of the moon. We said, for example, that if an individual goes out, or a group of people go out to see the moon, we're talking about the moon of which month? The month of Ramadan. So they go out to try and see the moon, but amongst that big jama'ah, amongst that big group of people, only one individual sees the moon, but he is adl, he is a trustworthy individual. We said that what? We accept, his sighting, because we give him the lead from the kitab or from the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the qiyas, an analogy to back that up. We also spoke briefly about, if you recall, the person who commits major sins, or the person who constantly does minor sins. When this person goes to see the moon, right, and they come before a qadi or some sort of legal entity to inform them that they have seen the moon, what did we say? Did we say that this person should inform the qadi, or should inform the judge, or the legal entity, that they are from the people that commit major sins, or should they keep that hidden to themselves? What did we say about this? Recall? We said that basically you, as a rule of thumb, if you are a person that commits a major sin, then you don't have to inform the people who you're going to tell them about the moon sighting that you commit the major sin. Right? We spoke because we told there is a difference. The ulama say al-ahkam tataba'ad. They say that the hukum for someone that, for example, is known to commit a major sin, for example, and if that major sin has no effect in him looking at the moon, then we still accept his sighting. We did make a small, note though for the person that drinks alcohol. We know that drinking alcohol is a major sin. So we said in this case it's different, because when you drink alcohol, can this affect your sighting of the moon? It can. It can affect whether or not you've seen the moon, or whether you're on drugs or something like this. So in this case, even though it's a major sin, you have to inform them, look, I'm an alcoholic, right? And I've seen the moon, so in this case, it would have an effect. If, for example, if you're someone that commits zina, this will not have an effect on your sighting of the moon. One of the issues that brothers constantly ask me is, if I start to do my fasting in a country, or in a city, right? But mostly, let's say for a country, for argument's sake, and then I fast my, 30 days, when I arrive at a second country, so not the country that I was in, when I arrive at this foreign country, and people are still fasting because they saw the moon one day later than we did in the country which I was in. So it means that they're going to fast one extra day. What do I do as an individual? I've already fasted 30 days, but the people that in the country which I've arrived on are still fasting, and they're going to fast 30 days. That means that either I have two choices. Either I fast 31 days, right? Or I break my fast. You have two choices. Either you fast one extra day, or you break your fast. The most correct opinion, and Allah knows best, and obviously there's two opinions to this, is the ulama say, okay, if you were to travel to a country and the people are still fasting, some of the ulama say you should complete the fasting with them, even if you have to fast 31 days. This is one opinion of the ulama, right? The other opinion, though, is that they say no. And to back up this first opinion, by the way, what do you think, I speak a lot about qiyas and analogy. So, analogy here, what we can take is if you are, for example, in a town that is a few hours away from another country, and you travel between Asr and Maghrib. Say you prayed Asr in the country, that you're in the beginning, and then you travel. Right? You are still fasting, but in the country where you're in, imagine they used to break fast at 6 o'clock. But in the country where you're going to, they break fast, say at 9 o'clock. What do? Do you go and say, when you arrive in the new country, I used to break fast at 6, so I break fast at 6, even though people are breaking fast at 9? No. You what? You extend your fast a few hours and you break it with them. Okay? But even though, and also to do with the salat, it's exactly the same thing. Whenever we travel to the country, we pray salat according to the timing of the country we travel to, right? We don't say, okay, I came from, country X, where these were the times of salat, and now I went to country Y, and I still established the prayer times of country X. It makes no sense. So the ulama, they've drawn qiyas and said, listen, if you were to come from a country that was far away, and you arrive to a country where people are still fasting, then you still carry on fasting with them for 31 days. This is their analogy. This is what they use as qiyas. However, some people say no. Some of the ulama, they say you should break your fast sirran. You should break your fast, secretly and not openly. Why do they make this difference? Because the ulama say that if a person during Ramadan is to, stops fasting, for example, I give you an example. You're in the masjid. You haven't heard the adhan yet, but you see the muadhin eat a date, and it looks like it's the time of Maghrib. يغلب على الظن, it becomes almost apparent to you that this is now the time of Maghrib, because otherwise the muadhin wouldn't be breaking his fast, right? So the same thing here. Whenever you have traveled from a different country, they say if you break your fast openly, what could this do? This could lead other people to also break their fast. But remember, the only reason you're breaking your fast is because you've already fasted 30 days. But for them, they still haven't fasted the 30 days. So the ulama say, do it sirran, do it secretly, so as to not, provoke other people into breaking their fast as well. Okay? Is that clear? Great. I'm glad he understands. The ulama say, and we've mentioned this here, for the sighting of the month for the sighting of the moon of the month of Ramadan, how many people do we have as a condition to see the moon? Is it 1 or 2?
1, 2.
It can't be a guessing game. 1 or 2, maybe someone's going to say 3 next. It's 1, right? We've established this. So what about the month of Shawwal? The month of Shawwal, the end of Ramadan, how many people do we need?
2.
We need 2. You see the difference? There is a difference between the sighting of the moon of Ramadan and the difference between the sighting of the moon of Shawwal, which decrees the end of Ramadan. Therefore, in this month, there is a need for 2 people to come and witness the sighting of the moon, not just 1. What about if the individual, like I said, goes out and sees the moon? But the qadi, the entity that he goes to inform about the sighting of the moon, doesn't know about this person, doesn't know if he is adl or not adl, doesn't believe him, and tells him, listen, I'm glad that you've seen the moon, but I cannot take your opinion on this, because if I do, the whole country has to stop fasting. So he says, I'm not going to accept your view. For this individual, is it obligatory for them to do iftar? Should they stop fasting or not? Do you follow my train of thought? So an individual went out and saw the moon by himself. He saw the moon. He did really actually see the moon. We've established that. He goes to the legal entity, the qadi, for example, the judge, and tells the judge, I've seen the moon. The judge doesn't believe him for any of the other reasons. Maybe he doesn't know about it. If he can establish this person is a trustworthy person, maybe he's never seen him, maybe he knows something bad of him. So he doesn't accept his opinion. For this individual here, do they need to break their fast because they've seen the moon of Shawwal, or do they not break their fast? Okay, let's go back to do they start fasting? I beg your pardon, not Shawwal. Do they start fasting for Ramadan, or do they not start fasting for Ramadan? They only see the moon, but the Qadi has not, taken their qawl, has not taken their opinion, has not taken their view. The correct opinion is that they start fasting. Because why? What is the dalil from the kitab? What does Allah say in the ayah? فَمَنْ شَهِدَ مِنْكُمُ الشَّهْرَ فَلْيَصُمْ. So this is one, the dalil. Whoever sees the moon should fast. He's seen the moon, so he has to fast. Even if he's the only one that saw the moon. And there's also a dalil from the sunnah. What does the Prophet ﷺ say? صُومُوا لِرُؤْيَتِهِ وَأَفْطِرُوا لِرُؤْيَتِهِ. Fast whenever you see the crescent moon of Ramadan, and break your fast whenever you see the moon of Shawwal. Okay. Is that clear? Good. Now we've touched upon, the person that's done the sighting of the moon. Let's talk about who is fasting obligatory upon. We've established already in the very first lesson that fasting in Ramadan is obligatory. But this is a general ruling. There are exceptions to this ruling. And there are conditions also for a person to fast. The ulama say, يَلْزِمْ الصَّوْمُ عَلَى كُلُّ مُسْلِمٍ مُكَلَّفٍ قَادِرٍ. They say that fasting is obligatory upon every Muslim. Let's talk about this first condition. Islam. Is Sawm compulsory upon non-Muslims, or is it not compulsory upon them? So can you tell your colleague at work that is not a Muslim, why are you eating, burger during 12 o'clock in the afternoon? You're supposed to be fasting like me. Can you tell him this? Why? Why can you not tell him this? Because we don't share the same faith. قليل أنت حول الحول.
يا أيها الذين آمنوا.
Good. هذا الاستدلال جميل. يا أيها الذين آمنوا. When Allah says, "Oh, you who believe," what does this mean? It means the Muslims. This is a good istidlal, because Allah sometimes refers to people, "Ya ayyuhal insan." For example, "Oh, you all mankind." So this is a good istidlal, also. But Allah also says in Surah At-Tawbah, وَمَا مَنَعَهُمْ أَن تُقْبَلَ مِنْهُمْ نَفَقَاتُهُم. And nothing prevents their contributions from being accepted from them, except that it is believed in Allah and His Messenger. So this is for nafaqat. This is for sadaqah. Even the sadaqah wasn't accepted from these disbelievers, and they say sadaqah, its benefits are muta'addi. Its benefits extend to other people, not just the person that's giving the sadaqah. So for the person that's just fasting himself, this is min bab awla. They say no. The person that's just fasting, then there is no benefit to other people. And in the case of the kafir, obviously he's not a Muslim, so they say that this ayah also applies to him. For they say فإذا كانت النفقات ونفعها متعدي لا تقبل منهم لكفرهم فالعبادات الخاصة من باب الأولى. Okay, so if the thing they gave to charity is not accepted, and everyone knows how much the people could benefit, then it is even more so the case that if this is what they're doing, fasting, because it only benefits them, then they say also this is not accepted from them if they are not Muslims. We said that he needs to be a Muslim and mukallaf. What does mukallaf mean in Islamic terms? المكلف هو البالغ العاقل. He is the one البالغ. What is البالغ?
Attend the state of maturity.
He's reached the age of maturity, not necessarily the guru. Puberty is close, full age, anything, and we're gonna go by, we're gonna speak about the alamat, the signs of what defines puberty or full age, or in this case maturity. But maturity sometimes can be construed as, whether a person is childish or, or not. Okay, so baligh, aqil. What does aqil mean? Sane. Aqil, someone that, is sane. This is what the ulama mean here by aqil. We don't mean something else. It means that he's sane. We can say lugha, al-aqil or ghayr aqil, it can mean something else. But here, in terms, Islamic terms, it means someone that is what? That is sane, and it is in full, awareness of his or her surroundings. But we said they need to be aqil. The person that needs to be doing the fast needs to be, mukallaf and needs to be a baligh. So what does it mean for a person to have reached, to be called, baligh or full of age? They say there's 3 signs for a man when he reaches full age, and there are 4 signs for a woman. Okay, the 3 signs for a man when we determine that they have reached full age are approximately 15 years of age. Ulama say this, there are some differences of opinion, but normally they say if he's 15 years of age, we consider him to be baligh. Ahsantum. We say also whenever the hair starts growing around, those parts that we know of, then this is also a sign that they have reached puberty. Another sign is also, and I'm just aware of the amount of children that we have here today. So how can we word this? Whenever, certain liquids, flow, with pleasure being the driver of that, then this is also called, we can say that this individual has now attained the age of puberty. For the female, it's the same as those, but also with one addition, which is al-hayl, which is what? When she's reached the age where she's, on her period. Okay? What about the person that is insane? What is compulsory upon them? The person that is insane. There is nothing upon the person that is what? That is insane. What from salat as well? A person that is insane. Is it compulsory for them to pray? It is not compulsory for them to pray. Why is that? رفع القلم and ثلاث. I'm going to talk about that in a second. What about if a person, when they talk about aqil, it means someone that is aware of what's going on. But what about if this awareness is only disappears temporarily? Some guy goes, falls, hits his head, and passes out for 20 minutes. Or someone, because of tiredness, faints. 1 hour later, he wakes up. What is compulsory upon this person in terms of fasting? This person that has a temporary illness, right? It is compulsory for them to fast. We can't say because you've just passed out for 20 minutes, not because of a serious illness, we can't say, you don't have to fast anymore. Right? For the person that has a temporary condition, it is still compulsory for them to carry on fasting if they lose briefly their consciousness. Okay? So this is different from the person that has lost complete consciousness over a period of time, such as someone that is in a coma. Okay? So someone that goes in and out of sanity. So someone that was, temporarily insane, lost his mind, and then comes back and he's fine again. What about this kind of person? It's the same hukm. The person that goes in and out of sanity, the same person also is compulsory for them to fast, and we don't make any difference between that. And we say that a hadith that, that sustains this is رُفِعَ الْقَلَمْ عَنْ ثَلَاث. The pen has been lifted from 3. What does this mean? The pen has been lifted.
They become aware what they are doing.
But what does the pen, رُفِعَ الْقَلَمْ عَنْ ثَلَاث? What pen are we talking about? What does this actually mean?
They are not counted.
Recording the good and bad deeds is one way of explaining it, but I want something more specific about what we're talking about here. So, رُفِعَ الْقَلَمْ عَنْ ثَلَاث, it means that what?
They are not accounted.
They are not accountable, or the following 3 types of individuals are not accountable. What are these 3 types of individuals? From the sleeper until he wakes up. What does this mean? An example. Someone is sleeping, the time of prayers come, when he gets up, he makes up his missed prayer. Do we say that this person, committed a sin? He didn't commit a sin because he was sleeping. Because we say, رُفِعَ الْقَلَمْ, the person who was sleeping, he didn't go to sleep to miss salah. You understand the difference? He overslept accidentally. So we say this person, there is no sin upon them. For example, someone is sleepwalking. He's sleepwalking and he goes and he commits, some sort of, felony or some sort of, crime. We apply to him this hadith, رُفِعَ الْقَلَمْ, because he's effectively still sleeping. You with me? from the minor until he grows up. This is the other second type. So a child, whenever they commit some sort of a crime or some sort of a sin that has effects in terms of jurisprudence, we say that because they are still children, the full extent of the law does not apply to them. And for the same person until he comes back and recovers from his senses. So let's talk about the third condition here, the ability to fast. We said he needs to be a Muslim, mukallaf, and qadir. طيب. What delete do we have from the kitab that Allah differentiates between the person that can fast and the person that can't fast? There's an ayah. قبل ومن كان مريضا أو على سفر فعدة من أيام أخرى. طيب. The person who is what? ومن كان مريضا, who is sick, or the person who is traveling, فعدة من أيام أخرى. And if they break their fast, they need to make it up in some other days. طيب. The person that is sick, the inability to fast can be divided into two categories. The inability to fast can be categorized into two categories: temporary illness or permanent illness. So a person that is sick, either he is temporarily sick or is permanently sick, according to the ulama. That's how they divide it. So the person that is temporarily sick, and this is what is being referred to in this verse, وَمَنْ كَانَ مَرِيضًا. What is being referred to here is a person that is suffering from a temporary illness, not a permanent illness. Give me an example of a permanent, they don't call it permanent illness. There's another better way to call it. They call it there's a word that they call it. Terminal illness. That's a better term. Someone is suffering from a terminal illness such as cancer. Say for example, cancer, certain types of cancer are considered, this person should be terminally ill. Right? Certain types of cancer. It's different from someone that's suffering from what? A migraine, for example. Or someone that has a zukan. Someone who is what? Has a cold. Okay? So this is a temporary illness, whilst cancer or other types of illnesses, hepatitis, serious hepatitis, might have a terminal effect. But for the ones that is a temporary illness, what do they do? For the ones that are temporarily sick, let's further subdivide this. The one who cannot fast, the people that are temporarily sick, we say either they cannot fast under any condition. So this person has a cold. Let's not call it a cold, let's call it a flu. Right? We'll talk about a cold. But he has a flu. Is the flu a terminally, a permanent illness? It's not. Okay. So he's got a temporary ailment. This person, imagine they cannot fast under any condition. You tell them, brother or sister, fast. Says, no, I can't fast. I've got the flu. I have no ability to fast. What is the hukm for this person? Do they fast? Do they not fast? Is it compulsory for them to fast? Is it not compulsory for them to fast?
It's not compulsory for them to fast at that time because they can't, obviously.
It's not compulsory.
Yeah.
Okay, the ulama not only say it's not compulsory, they say it is obligatory that he doesn't fast. Why do they say that?
He's going to harm himself.
Because he's going to harm, because of dara. So they say, you have a temporary illness, we understand it's not a permanent illness, it's not going to kill you, but because if you stop fasting, so if you fast, you fear that this illness might get worse, right? Even though it's a temporary illness, and you say you cannot fast, then you should not fast under any circumstances. But imagine the one that has, temporary illness, but finds it difficult, to fast because it causes them harm. This is similar to the first one. The first one, we don't say that the person didn't want to fast in the first place. You ask him, do you want to fast? He says, I don't want to fast. In this case, you find someone, and this is common with a lot of Muslims, unfortunately, you see them sick in Ramadan. You tell them why you're fasting. Say, I'm trying to do my best. This is ibadah, this is psalm. I have to try and fast. He said to him, but you're sick. Should you not be breaking your fast? He says, no, I have to fast. What do we say to this person? What do we say to this person? Well, the scholars say, in this case, it is preferred that the individual, they look at the difference. They say it is preferred that he does not fast. And he wants to fast, we say no. It's preferable that you don't fast. And the ulama, they go further. They go further, they say only the ignorant person fasts when they're sick. So not for my wording, only an ignorant person fasts when they're sick. And subhanAllah, when I was reading about this mas'ala from Imam al-Qurtubi, he has a tafsir, beautiful tafsir, and he brings out 16 issues related to this ayah, to this verse. وَمَنْ كَانَ مَرِيضًا أَوْ عَلَى سَفَرٍ فَعِدَّةٌ مِنْ أَيَّامٍ أُخْرَى. And he talks about, some of the, not the Sahaba, but some of the ulama, the big scholars of our religion. One visited, a big scholar of our religion was visited by, some other scholars, and they saw him, not eating during the month of Ramadan. And they asked him, so, why are you not eating? He goes, my 2 fingers hurt. My 2 fingers are hurting severely. So he broke his fast.
So they saw him eating.
They saw him eating, and he said, the reason I'm not eating is because my 2 fingers hurt quite severely. And he broke his fast because of that. Some of the ulama, they say anything, and this is the most correct opinion, anything that can be called an illness or a sickness, anything that we say, this person is sick, allows that person to break their fast. So don't go, okay, what about if I have a tooth shit, or what about if my finger hurts? If this can be called a sickness or an illness, then the most correct opinion is that you're allowed to break your fast with it. Okay? So don't differentiate between the types of, because there's a million ailments that you could have. But as long as this يطلق عليه اسم المرض ومن كان فمن كان منكم مريضا. If we call this person مريض, sick, then it is allowed for this person to break their fast. You with me? Like permanent illness. We spoke about temporary illness. Let's talk about permanent illness. What is a person that is permanently ill? What do they have to do in the month of Ramadan? وعلى الذين يطيقونه فدية طعام مسكين. The other verse where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and to those who are able to, and this is the person. So imagine you go to someone that has, say they have, bowel cancer, for argument's sake. Diabetes? See, diabetes, I don't know if diabetes is a permanent illness. Diabetes has various levels of diabetes. I'm not a doctor or anything, but I know there's various levels. There are some that are more severe than others.
Because my sister, she has diabetes and the doctor is saying it doesn't.
So those persons that need to be injected with insulin on a constant basis, then this person are considered permanently sick. There are those people with diabetes though that is, it's actually light. They don't have to be injected. There are some, lower levels of diabetes. But yeah, say an example of someone like, which has diabetes and they permanently have to take insulin shots, or a person that's suffering from cancer. This is called a permanent illness. What do we say to this individual in the month of Ramadan? Allah says in a verse, وَعَلَى الَّذِينَ يُطِيقُونَهُ, the people that can fast. Why? This person that has insulin, they can fast, but the marad does not allow them to fast because what is it going to cause? It's going to cause them what? Harm. You see what I'm saying? The person could fast. It's not as they couldn't even fast. They could fast, but by fasting they're going to increase themselves in harm other than the harm that they're already upon. What do we say to this person? فَفِدْيَةٌ طُعَامُ مِسْكِينٍ. Then you need to pay fidya. You need to pay what? What's the best translation for fidya?
You need to...
He's half asleep, the brother. He was laughing, but now he's half asleep. Huh?
compensation.
Compensation is not a bad word. There is a specific word though for it.
You have to feed in the poor people, make food, or give food.
Okay, we're going to talk about how we give fidya now. So we need to pay some sort of compensation, to the poor. Okay, Jamil Jiddan. So the person that's permanently sick, but who else is applied to this ayah? It's not just the permanently sick person. There is someone else. Huh? Pregnant women and women that are that are breastfeeding, We're going to talk about it. But right now, who else applies to this ayah? Older people. Excellent. So a person that has reached, the age where they can be called an old person. And I don't mean you, Sheikh Mushtaq. Whenever they reach an age where they can be called an old person, right? They're allowed to do what? To pay fidya and, and break their fast that day. How should we pay this compensation? How should we pay this ransom? We've established this person is permanently sick. They can break their fast in Ramadan, or they're old. They can break fast in Ramadan, and because they're old, but there's a condition. They're old and they can't fast because there's older people that can fast, right? So they're old, they can't fast. They're permanently sick, they can't fast. Okay, how do we pay this ransom?
All right. Let's say we fast the month of Ramadan 29 days.
Mm-hmm.
So they should feed the quantity of food sufficient to feed an individual for 29 days.
Okay, so whether it's 29 or 30 days, they have to, but what I want to get is the how do we do it? Do I go every day that I don't fast and I find a poor person and I give him the food? Do I wait for the end of the month like Anas ibn Malik used to do? Now you agree with me. Like Anas ibn Malik used to do. He used to wait whenever he reached old age. He used to wait until the end of the month and then make ta'am, food, for the poor people and call them to this ta'am to feed how many individuals? 29 or 30, depending on the days that you can do. So you can do it either way. A person that hasn't, fasted during the month of Ramadan because of their old age can wait until the end of the month, call everybody from the 29 or 30 people, the amount of days they didn't fast in Ramadan, and then they can fast and they can eat, or they can give them, a daily ration of food for every day, that they don't eat. You with me? So every day of Ramadan, during 30 days, he feeds one person. So either way, it can be done. How much do we give them?
According to the average of what you're eating.
According to the average of what is known من قوت يعني طعام البلد ماذا هذه تقصد؟
أقصد that means the average of what you eat. There are some people they are rich, there are some people they are poor.
So give them average. Give them average, yeah?
No, give an average of your what's the meal
okay.
you eat.
But I want a quantity from the Sunnah. Let's start with average in a second. Now, right now, I want you to give me a quantity.
No, because
1.5 kilos.
Given nilsa, this is the quantity, yeah? So there's nilsa is approximately, very good, 1.5 kilograms of the local staple food. So the food that is known to the balad, for example, the food in Nigeria will be different from the food, in India will be different from the food, in Tunisia will be different from the food in Pakistan. So depending on what country you're in, you give them 1.5 kilos of the food that is known, to your country, right? Now, obviously, whether it's rice, dates, or anything else, it can be some sort of condiment or meat, but it is better to give meat and it is better to give more. It is better. وَمَنْ تَطَوَّى خَيْرًا فَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لَهُ. And whoever does more or gives more, فَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لَهُ. And this is even better for them. So even though the quantity is fixed at 1.5 kilograms, if you're Kareem and you give people more, then it is even better for you. I'm just wary of time there. Just very quickly, there's a fourth condition for the person to fast, which is residence. So you fast if you're a resident, and you don't fast if you are a traveler. Now this is a mas'ala that can take quite a while, so I think I'll leave this mas'ala for next week. So that's not to make, because there is a difference of opinions on whether or not a traveler, is it better for a traveler to fast? Or is it better for a traveler to break their fast? Inshallah, we'll cover this bi'idhnillah ta'ala next week.